ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Namaskar, my dear friends. This is video number 3 on Ashtavakra Gita. In the first video, there was introduction of Ashtavakra Gita. In the second video, self-realization was explained, and in the third video, we are going to discuss the disciples' joy at self-realization. श्लोक नंबर 1 वर्ष नंबर 1 जनक उवाच अहो निरंजनः शांतो बोधो अहम प्रकृतिः प्र एतावन्तमहं कालं मोहिन्यैव विडम्बित. Janak said, "Oh, I am spotless, tranquil, pure consciousness and beyond nature. All this time I have been duped by illusion. Having attained spiritual illumination through the instructions of Ashtavakra, Janaka now expresses his joy of self-realization in the following verses. Spotless, free from all attributes, tranquil, beyond any change, all etc. until I received instructions from my Guru, illusion that is of identifying the self with body, mind, etc. Verse number 2 यथा प्रकाशयाम्यको देहे मेनं तथा जगत् अतो मम जगत् सर्वमथवा न च किंचन. As I alone reveal this body, even so do I reveal this universe. Therefore, mine is all this universe, or verily nothing is mine. As etc. Without the light of the self, the body and the universe, being material, could not be revealed. Therefore, etc. Because the light of the self manifests the universe and thus makes it exist, it is superimposed on the self, nothing, etc. Because from the absolute standpoint, the universe is non-existent. Verse number 3 स श्रीर्महो विश्वं प्रीतज्य मयाधुना कुतश्चित् कौशलादेव परमात्मा विलोक्यते. Oh, having renounced the universe along with the body, I am now perceiving the Supreme Self through wisdom received from my Guru, having etc. After knowing them to be unreal as they appear and in reality no other than the self itself. Now, after being instructed by Ashtavakra, verse number 4 यथा ने तोयतो भिन्न अस्त्रंगः फेन बुद्बुदा आत्मनो ने तथा भिन्नम विश्वासम आत्म विनिर्गतम. As waves foam and bubbles are not different from water, even so the universe emanating from the self is not different from it, universe, etc. According to Advaita philosophy, the Atman is also the material cause of the universe, just as earth is the material cause of a pot. The pot is nothing but the earth with name and form superimposed on it. So is this universe, but the self with name and form superimposed on it. Just as waves, foam, and bubbles are nothing but the sea and are non different from it, so the universe is but the self, non different from the self. Verse number 5. Tantu matro bhave deyo pato yadvidvicharitah atam tanmatrim vedam tadv visvam vicharitam. As cloth when analyzed is found to be nothing but thread, even so this universe duly considered is nothing but the self, even so, etc. A cloth is made of thread and is nothing but thread, yet we falsely think it to be something separate and different from the thread. The universe is constituted of self only. It is nothing but self, yet we look upon it as separate from the self. This is an illusion. We find out our mistake regarding cloth through a little reasoning. We have similarly to get rid of our illusion regarding the universe. Verse number 6. यथैव अक्षुर से क्लिप्तृप्ता तेन व्याप्तेव शर्करा तथा विश्वम मयि क्लिप्तृप्यम मया व्याप्तम निरंतरम. Just as sugar generated in sugarcane juice is wholly pervaded by it juice, even so the universe produced in me is permeated by me through and through. The verse illustrates the all pervasiveness of the Atman, me, my real nature, that is the self. In the subsequent verses, also the I and me mean the self and not the jiva. Verse number 7. आत्मा ज्ञाना जगत भाति आत्म ज्ञानान्न भाषते रज्ज्वज्ञानादिर भाति तज्ज्ञाना भद्रा भास्ते नेहि. The world appears from the ignorance of the self and disappears with the knowledge of the self, even as the snake appears from the non-cognition of the rope and disappears with its recognition. An illusion persists only so long as we do not recognize the object on which the illusion has been superimposed. The example of the snake in the rope is pertinent in this connection. When we know the rope, the snake knowledge vanishes. Even so, the world does not really exist, yet appears as existing through ignorance and disappears with the knowledge of the self on which the illusion of the world is imposed. Verse number 8. Prakasho me nijam rupam नातिरिक्तो स अयं ततः यदा प्रकाशते विश्वं तदाहं भास एव हि. Light is my very nature and I am no other than that. When the universe manifests itself verily, then it is I that shine. When, etc. The nature of the self is Chit, pure consciousness, which makes possible knowledge of the phenomenal world. The world itself is material and has no consciousness of its own by which to reveal itself. It cannot be known unless the light of self illumines it. The manifestation of the world, therefore, implies really the manifestation of the self. Verse number 9. Aho vikalpitam visvam jnananmayi bhashate रूप्यम शुक्तौ फणिरज्जौ वारी सूर्य करे यथा. O, the universe appears in me, being conceived through ignorance, even as silver appears in the mother of pearl, snake in the rope, and water in the sunbeam. Silver, etc. All these three are classical examples of abhyasa, superimposition through illusion. Water refers to mirage. Verse number 10. Matto vinirgatam vishvam mayyev lameshyati mirdi kumbho jale vichi kanke katkam yatha. Just as a jug dissolved into earth, a wave into water, or a bracelet into gold, even so the universe which has emanated from me will dissolve into me. Just etc. All these three are examples of material cause. The Atman is the material cause of the universe, which comes to be through the superimposition of name and form on the Atman. With the dawn of knowledge, name and form vanish, and only the Atman remains, even as a wave becomes water when its name and form vanish. Emanated, being conceived through ignorance, as mentioned in the previous verse, dissolved. When self-knowledge will be attained and the universe will be merged in self from which it was projected through ignorance. Verse number 11. Aho ahem namo mahiyam vinasho yasya nasati me ब्रह्म आदि स्तंभ पर्यंतम जगन्नश अपि तिष्ठतः. Wonderful am I, adoration to myself, who know no decay and survive even the destruction of the world, from Brahma down to the clump of grass, myself in the absolute sense. Stanza number 12. Aho ahem namo mahimeko ahem devana api kischinne ganta naganta vyape visvam avasthitah. Wonderful am I, adoration to myself who, through with a body, though with a body, am one who neither go anywhere nor come from anywhere, but abide pervading the universe. A body, the body implies not only the gross one but also the subtle. 5 seats or bodies are generally spoken of. 1. The ego is constantly undergoing change owing to the changes in the body. It is changing its nature every moment, and thus a new ego springs every moment. But transcending all these changes abides the Atman, which is ever immutable. Verse number 13. Aho ahem namo mahyam daksho na asti matsamah asamparshpayi Shariren yen vishwam chiram dhirtam. Wonderful am I, adoration to myself. There is none so capable as I, who am bearing the universe for all eternity without touching it with the body. None, etc. The verse describes the infinite power of the self. Ordinarily, in order to bear anything, one has to do with one's limbs. The thing borne must necessarily be of a limited weight and magnitude, and it cannot be borne for a long time. But it is quite different with regard to the self. It is bearing this infinite universe for all eternity even without taking the help of any instrument such as the body. Infinite and wonderful must be its capacity. Stanza number 14. Aho em namo mahyam yasya me nasti kischan athva yasya me sarvam yadvang man sagocharam. Wonderful am I, adoration to myself, who have nothing or have all that is thought and spoken of. Nothing spoken from the standpoint of the self when nothing exists except the self, or it may mean that the self being unattached, nothing belongs to it, all, etc. Because the self has created the universe and supports it, thought, etc. This phrase refers to the phenomenal nature of the universe, for only phenomena can be thought and spoken about. Stanza number 15. ज्ञानम ज्ञेयम तथा ज्ञाता त्रितयम नास्ति वास्तवम अज्ञानाद भाति यत्रेदम सोहम अस्मि निरंजनः. Knowledge, knower, and knowable. These three do not in reality exist. I am that stainless self in which this triad appears through ignorance, knowledge, etc. The universe from the epistemological standpoint consists of these three elements: the knower, the object of knowledge, and the act of knowledge. We consider ourselves through Maya or ignorance as the first of these three, the knower. In reality, we are above all these three. We are not a factor of this triad, but that itself on which this triad rests, the self. Supreme realization consists in breaking the tangle of this triad and going beyond it, stainless, free from the defects of the material world. Verse number 16. द्वैत मूल महो दुखम न अन्य तस्य शास्ति भेषजम दृश्यमेत तन्मिर्षा सर्वम एको अहम चिद्रसो मलः. Oh, duality is the root of misery. There is no other remedy for it except the realization that all objects of experience are false and that I am one and pure intelligence and bliss. Verse number 17. बोध मात्रो हम ज्ञानादुपाधि कल्पितो मया एवं विमर्शतो नित्यं निर्विकल्पे स्थितिर्मम. I am pure intelligence. Through ignorance, I have imposed limitation upon myself. Constantly reflecting in this way, I am abiding in the absolute. Limitation with egoism, mind, body, etc. Absolute, where duality vanishes and the self shines in its pristine glory. Stanza number 18. Neme bandho asti moksho va bhranti shanta nirasraya. Aho mai sithitam visvam vastuto ne mai sithitam. I have neither bondage nor freedom. The illusion, having lost its sport, has ceased. Oh, the universe, though existing in me, does not in reality so exist. Neither, etc. The Atman is eternally free. It is never really bound. It only appears to be so. Illusion, etc. We think ourselves bound and seek liberation. This is only an illusion which has its basis in the ignorance of our true nature. When by constantly reflecting on the pure nature of the self, this ignorance is destroyed, the illusion loses its sport and vanishes. Universe, etc. When from the relative standpoint the universe is considered to exist, it has its basis in me who am Brahma itself. But from the absolute standpoint, there is no universe, I alone am. Verse number 19. स शरीरम idam विश्वम ने किश्चिद अतिथि निश्चितम शुद्ध चिन्मात्र आत्मा च तत्कस्मिन् कल्पनाधुना. I have known for certain that the body and the universe are nothing and that the self is only pure consciousness, so on which now can imagination be impossible. Now when ignorance has been destroyed, imagination, that is of the universe and body. Verse number 20. शरीरम स्वर्ग नरकौ बंद मोक्षौ भयम तथा कल्पना मात्र में वैतत किम में कार्यम चिदात्मनः. Body, heaven and hell, bondage and freedom, as also fear, all these are mere imagination. What have I to do with all these? I whose nature is Chit. The idea is so long as we consider body, heaven, hell, etc. to be real, we are impelled to act in relations to them. But the nature of the self is absolute knowledge, and only within relative knowledge the ideas of heaven, hell, etc. are possible. Therefore, these have no reality to one who has attained self-knowledge, and such a one has nothing to do with them. Stanza 21. Aho jan samuhe api nedvaitam pashyato mam arnemyu संवर्तम रत्तिम karva aneham. Oh, I do not find any duality, even the multitude of human beings, therefore, has become like a wilderness. What should I attach myself to? Wilderness. In the wilderness, we feel absolutely alone. The consciousness of aloneness comes to one who has reached the Advaita state, though apparently there may be a crowd of men, really he is conscious only of the one, what, etc. As there is nothing real besides myself, to what should I attach myself? Verse number 22. Na aham deho ne me deho jivo na na हम अहम ही चित अयमेव ही में बंध है आसीत या जीवितेश प्रहा. Neither I am this body nor am I embodied. I am not Jiva, I am Chit. This indeed was my bondage, that I had thirst for life. Jiva refers to finite self. The self identifying itself with egoism, etc., is designated as Jiva, bondage, etc. The self is consciousness, Chit, and therefore beyond birth and death. Hence, to desire to live is to deny our real nature. This ignorance is bondage. Verse number 23. Aho bhuvan kallo vichitradarka samut sithitam mayan ant mahamo bodho chitvate samudyate. Oh, in me, the limitless ocean, diverse waves of worlds are produced forthwith on the rising of the wind of the mind. The self has been likened to a limitless ocean where waves are produced when there is wind. There is no creation in the infinite self. It is only when through ignorance, egoism, etc., come into existence that the manifold universe seems to present itself. The material of all worlds is the self itself, just as the waters that make the waves are the ocean itself. The wind creates forms. Similarly, it is mind that gives form to the formless chit. Verse number 24. Maya anant maha bodho चितवाते परशाम्यति अभाग्या जीव वणिज्यो जगतपोतो विनस्वरः. With the calming of the wind of the mind in the infinite ocean of myself, the arc of the universe of Jiva, the trader unfortunately meets destruction. Jiva, etc. Jiva is a trader, his karmas are his commerce, and good and bad fruits are his profit and loss. The world is his merchantman in which he carries on his trade, meets destruction, vanishes. The universe and the Jiva manifest themselves with the manifestation of the mind. With the destruction of the latter, the former are also destroyed. Verse number 25. Mayan ant maham bho dhavaschariyam जीव विच यह उद्यन्ति घ्रन्ति खेलन्ति प्रविशन्ति स्वभावतः. How wonderful in me the shoreless ocean, the waves of individual selves rise, strike each other, play for a time and disappear, each according to its nature. Disappear when ignorance is destroyed and karma is worked out according to etc. according to the state of the ignorance and karmas of the jiva. So, chapter 2 is completed. Thereby, I complete this video. Thank you for watching this video. Namaste, my dear friends. Fourth video, I will start with chapter 3 Test of Disciples Self Realization. Thank you. Namaskar.